welcome to the weekly intuitive art videos. Today I am starting by taping off my sheet in my journal, and I'll be mostly using acrylic paint and probably my woody pencils, which are like colored pencils or watercolor pencils, and my gelatos, which are kind of like soft pastels. All right, let's get started. First, I want to show you guys I made some stickers and they came in the mail. Aren't those the cutest? They have a little compass on them, some paintbrushes and flowers, and they have my motto, be wild, be free, be creative. I'm so excited they came. All right, so today's creative prompt is, I'm calling it life portrait. But you know, the names don't really matter because this is all about intuitive art. It's about doing what feels right to you and what needs to be done. So yours might end up being totally different. But when I think about life portrait, I'm thinking about places I want to be growing. And so my art today, I'm just going to use that as a prompt. Like, what comes up for me when I think about growth or my life, in the direction I'm headed. For some people, this may be very literal. They may draw a specific kind of house they're looking to buy, or a specific kind of house they're looking to rent, or maybe they're hoping to get a new job or whatever. So it might look really literal. For other people, it might be more of a feeling, so it might be more abstract. I am going to start with one of my colored pencils, and I'm just going to do some free intuitive doodling, just draw what feels right. What's coming up right now, I'm thinking like some botanicals feels like what wants to happen. So remember, with intuitive art, it is not about the final product. It's about the process. Who cares if it's beautiful, right? This is just for you. No one else is going to see it unless you choose to show them. And what we're doing is hopefully just processing, our life, our humanness. Creativity is such a magical thing. I'm obsessed with botanicals. So when I think about growth, I really think about nature. I love to spend time in nature. I love to hike. And I'd actually like to do more hiking this year. So maybe this can be kind of a nod to that. Okay, let's see. These doodles to me are so calming. It's just, I'm not trying to use a technique. I'm not trying to be specific. I'm just quickly doodling. Doesn't have to be a certain way. All right. Yeah, I'm starting with this. Who knows what the end result will look like? So I'm curious how you guys are thinking about growth. What comes up for you? Is it a way you'd like to grow emotionally, literally planting seeds for a spring garden? All these different ways. Gosh, being a human is so fun, isn't it? It's just like so many ways of moving forward. All right, I'm going to add some paint. I don't even know. I'm really not thinking too much here. I'm just kind of going for it. Sometimes I think the freedom that we want to feel gets sucked away when we're thinking so much. So I'm all about trying to turn that brain off and kind of just going from my heart, or what I call my intuition, just kind of what's going to happen just if I let it happen. But don't overthink it. Any of you have trouble with overthinking? I mean, it's like a real issue over here. Some more green. I'm using this golden Jenkins green. I love these liquid golden colors, but they're a little bit more pricey. So I don't paint with them when I'm doing my intuitive painting very much. I usually save them for final piece projects, but sometimes I like to use them in my art journal. Depends on my mood. Ooh, I'm loving the texture here. I like to use a dry-ish brush. I mean, sometimes I get my brush, after dipping it in water, I don't get it dried off enough and it gets too smooth. I just really love the texture of having a more dry brush and not too much paint, because it leaves some white areas. I think that's really fun. Oh yeah, liking that. All right, let's see what's next. So I'm just drying off my paintbrush quite a lot here because I want to keep that texture going. Something about the way that when I have just the right amount of paint and the right amount of dryness, something about that tactile feeling is just pretty lovely. You know, it's not too smooth. These exercises are so fun because I always try to come up with a name for them, you know, like life portrait, focus on growth. But each person is so unique and our experience is so unique, and I'm drawing plants. That may not be what comes up for you. Maybe you have a more specific thing that needs to be processed. Sometimes it's more about what's happening in my brain as I'm painting than what I'm painting. You know, if I'm thinking about a prompt, it doesn't necessarily have to be visually matched. Kind of like if you gave kids a pack of colored pencils and you said, draw happy. You know, you're going to get 1,000 different ideas of what that means. It should be the same for adults, right? Because if you don't get 1,000 different ideas, then that just means we're just kind of not using our own creativity. We're just doing what we think people want us to do. Ooh, I love these colors together. I really should mix it up and do some different ones, but I just love it. I mean, look at that. Sometimes when I'm doing intuitive painting, I get done and I think, wow, that was really fun, and look at this interesting thing that I made. And of course, I have days like everyone else where I'll think I need to create something because I'm in a funk, not feeling great, my brain space is all gummed up, I need to work through it, and I'll make something and I'll think, what in the world? That was wild. But always, 100% of the time, I feel better after making whatever it is I made, even if it's crazy. I put this fun thing on Instagram today. I wrote up a few different, I think there's 5 creative prompts for people to use, depending on how you're feeling. Because that's how I try to paint too. Like, Am I feeling like I want to stay calm? Because then I should probably do something really slow and take deep breaths. Today I noticed that I'm moving kind of quickly though. And sometimes that feels like the right thing to do. Also, I did have a second cup of coffee. Maybe that has something to do with it. I didn't drink coffee forever, and then I don't know what happened recently. It just felt like I wanted to bring it back into my life, and I sure did, and it's so good, and I'm so loving it. I love painting when it's just like I am today. I mean, there's so many different ways I love painting, but today it feels like quick. Like I'm not making any decisions. I'm just putting paint on my brush, and then it's almost like a paint by number or something. I'm not considering it too much. I'm just putting paint down in the white spaces. There's so much freedom in that. Not overthinking it. I don't need this to be what the world might consider beautiful. I just need this to be whatever it is. It's fine. It's in my journal. Doesn't matter. Ooh, those colors. I love it, love it, love it. All right, let's see. I'm going to use some of this. It's sap green. It's a little bit different than the Jenkins green. I don't know if you can see that. It's a little bit lighter. Don't do this at home. I had to use my teeth to open it. I'm always telling my kids, don't use your teeth. And then I do it because the paint dries in the lid. But again, these are like more expensive paints. Don't use these. Don't use these unless you have a need for them. Start off with something basic like a craft paint, I love these Blick craft paints. They're so great. Just make it work for you, whatever that looks like. I think I'm going to trade in my brush that I'm using. Oh my goodness. How often do I say I need to wash my brushes? It is true. It needs to happen. Look at this. They're so gross. It's fine. It's fine. All right, so I'm going to use a bit of this sap green. Let's see what it looks like compared to this other green. It's a little bit more olivey. I love that texture. It's so fun. You guys know by now, green is my favorite color. All the different varieties. All right, let's see. I'm feeling like I haven't used this in a long time. This orange color, or I have this purple color. Alizarin Crimson. I always say that wrong. I think it's alizarin. I have no idea. Pulling out some paints I haven't used in a while. That's great. I needed to mix it up. I'm mixing a little bit of this. It's a pretty bold, bright pink, and for some reason that's not feeling right to me. So I'm mixing a little bit with my amethyst to get a little bit more of a not so bold color. But maybe bold is what is going to work best for you. Go bold. It's so funny when you get these subtle paint color differences. It adds such an interesting effect. It's like depth, shadow, you know, those things that you're always trying to add if you're trying to be specific, and it always looks kind of crazy. But if you just like wildly add it in there, it works. Okay, now I'm doing a little bit. There we go. Let's see. That's fun. Curious what's coming up for you on this topic. Growth. I'm always looking for ways to grow. This year I'm really focused on this painting community. I run a graphic design and web design business also, but I'm really curious about what might happen if we start painting together. Let me get a paper towel. Because I think so many of us just really want some connection in our lives. Even when we're surrounded by people, sometimes being a human feels kind of lonely. At least it does for me. That's my experience. And I just think there's so many, especially, I was going to say especially women, but I know there's plenty of men too who really would like to feel part of something. And that's what I want to do here, is I want to create something that people can feel a part of, and that can help them in their day-to-day to feel a little bit better. I mean, it's been an intense few years, so just can't think of a better way to spend my time than trying to shoot for that goal. So now I'm just using my woody pencils, but if you have colored pencils, it'd be pretty similar. These are a little bit more creamier, but you might get like similar effects. I always really like using these to color in I've done this really loose painting, so there's all these white areas. So I really love using these to color in a bit. It kind of just makes it funky. I like that. If that's not your thing, that's okay. Kind of reminds me of like when the sun's setting and the light hits plants and things just right. How all these different colors just magically come out. So this is kind of similar. And I'm going to use this golden one. Then maybe this brighter pink. right, I'm really loving how this is feeling. Okay, you guys know, here I am with this pistachio. I'm just gonna do a bit of a texture here over the green and the blue. Let's see. Oh my gosh, this is so fun. Sometimes it's so curious because I just am like everyone else, and I'm looking for these complicated ways to calm myself down. Like, oh, if I could just get away for a weekend, or oh, if I could just, do all these difficult things, put them into my life. But really, it takes me like 20 minutes of just sitting down and playing. Like, this is a version of playing. And if I can do that, it really just changes the whole day for me. I feel like I've had time for myself. I can come back to who I am. I know those of you that might be moms or dads raising kiddos, it can feel difficult to stay whole or stay true to who you are, because there's so much to navigate. And there's just these little tiny ways of doing that. Use this blue gelato. What's it actually called? Aqua Dolce. That sounds lovely. I feel I'm good. I think this is almost just what I needed. All right, so the prompt today was growth, and this is what came out of me. Plants. Just felt like the right thing to do. I want to see what you made. I want to see what got created from your thoughts. What a fun activity. All right, here's my intuitive artwork for today. I hope to see you next week. Bye.